Oh man, I'm really in it now. This guy looks super strong, and I happen to have all the types to make me completely weak to him. One Mach Punch and I'm cooked. If I'm gonna win, I need to think like a great warrior, and I have just the idea who I might be able to look to for inspiration. Lucario. You either love him or you love him. I can't think of a single Pokemon in this series with almost no haters. Charizard, while beloved among classic fans, is aggressively hated on by New Age fans because of all the favorite childism he's given by Game Freak. There is maybe someone like Rayquaza, the super awesome dragon that everybody loves, but his reign of terror after Mega Evolving definitely made some people despise fighting him, and, by extension, despise him. But Lucario has avoided any and all controversy, which is beyond impressive. Still, something's not quite right here. Once upon a time, Lucario sat as one of the high horses of Pokemon, rivaling the popularity of the word popularity itself for years before slowly fading into the background. Today I'd like to investigate the history of Lucario's popularity to answer two big questions. How is he so eternally loved? And why is his popularity so erratic? Get ready, because who's bored? I'm bored. And today we'll be exploring the history of Lucario to answer these very questions and more. I think we can all come to an agreement before we start this video. Lucario didn't get popular because he was strong. Don't get me wrong, he was, but that wasn't the reason. People just thought he was cool. At the time of his introduction, he was one of the horsemen of Gen 4, and kind of a genius way to introduce it. In a series like Pokemon filled with big monsters and super cute critters, Lucario wasn't really something that had been seen before. And he looked cool. We can mainly thank the movie for a lot of Lucario's popularity, since it shot him so far into the stratosphere that people to this day still think he's a legendary Pokemon. He's not and never was. Like, there wasn't even a single day. The movies just always featured legendary Pokemon, and Lucario's is the first that didn't really. I think at this point we can dive into his design as it helps him so much to stand out. Almost instantly he attracts looks with his color combo of black and blue, which makes him look cool and heroic. The design on his face is clearly supposed to look like a hero's mask, and the dreadlocks on the back of his head, although left ambiguous, may be related to headbands and how the loose ends hang off. The spikes around his body, the fur on his chest, and his lean yet strong looking body immediately make Lucario feel powerful and interesting, and sending one into battle feels like unleashing a ruthless warrior. He obviously has inspirations deeply tied to anime, which also helps, and what teenager doesn't like wolves? Lucario really was the perfect storm, and there's no questions about how he got popular in the first place. Lucario is also just a crazy competitive threat, which helped him to keep up his popularity with the deeper fanbase. With an attack and special attack of 110 and 115, and a speed of 90, he was a reliable heavy-hitting attacker with a good defensive type and a great attacking type, considering that this was the generation to introduce Aura Sphere, Close Combat, and Bullet Punch. Although there was some answers to Lucario, at the time he was almost irreplaceable for the type of attacker he was, and could really threaten tons of teams really without struggling, which at the time was harder than it sounds. All in all, that was a great foundation that Lucario was working with. Now we can talk about the aggressive marketing of Lucario.
It still won't attack!
Yeah, sorry, can you guys wait a little longer?
Don't pay attention to them, man.
Thank you, Sonic the Hedgehog from Sonic Lost World. Now where was I? Oh yeah. Lucario was everywhere. Explaining this to a new fan is really hard, but they might still feel some of the aftershock. For example, Lucario is one of the faces of Pokemon Unite and Pokken Tournament, and continues to appear often whenever Pokemon does any sort of weird spin-offs. Back in the mid to late 2000s, there was really no escaping him. His movie was a huge success, and he would go on to be one of the most marketable things to ever be born. He was on toys, on box arts, and always showing up in games. In Diamond and Pearl he was used by that blue guy with the hat in a cool side mission, and in Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky, you know, the most popular one, he was selectable as your playable Pokemon. Want more? Don't fret. Lucario is also the new generation representative in Smash Bros. Brawl. Now don't get me wrong, Lucario never stopped being a money printing icon, they still use him to this day, but I struggle to phrase just how well known Lucario was. You could argue that Lucario never lost popularity, but I would strongly argue otherwise. For a period of time, Lucario just kind of melded into the background with the other Pokemon, Similar to Zoroark, it's a Pokemon we just kind of agree is cool, but never fully tackle or acknowledge why. It's hard to notice, especially when it never really felt like he went anywhere, but I honestly have sort of started to notice how Lucario has been, how do I put it, mascotized? They just turned Lucario into this generic cool guy, which really hurt his personality. Lucario was essentially cleansed so that he would never become irrelevant from age. They can't reference the movie because that's too old, and they can't give Lucario a unique personality because, well, he's a Pokemon, and everyone's Lucario should be different and unique, right? It's not inherently bad or anything, there are plenty of Pokemon like him, but it was definitely a fall from grace. I think a few other things can be blamed, like how with each passing year we moved further and further from Lucario's debut generation. But if I had to pick something that caused this dry spell, I definitely feel like it was the need to almost commercialize Lucario into something likable and cool, while needing as little context as possible to understand. It was easy to do this in both following generations, using Black 2 and X. He's easily obtainable in both, while removing all personality and baggage he might have had before. It puts him more in line with Snorlax and Lapras as a cool and strong Pokemon you're practically given. No need for a movie or a blue guy with a cool hat. Lucario is just Lucario. That strong Pokemon you used that one time. Speaking of X and Y, you could even say he had a bit of a resurgence there. But I'd rather say it was a weird 50-50 sort of thing. He got a new Mega Evolution, which is honestly sort of sick, and in the Mawile video this was pretty big. But for her it was because she was dying for an improvement, while Lucario just wasn't at all. He was fine before, and the Mega wasn't really necessary, though it did help breathe at least a little new life into him. Mega Lucario straight up wasn't seen in many contexts. I mean, he was competitively boring, especially when compared to the other options that could do his job a little better. I'll put his stats on screen for a bit, but there's nothing much to take apart. Stellar Attack and Special Attack that most people didn't care for because Mega Metagross and Mega Mawile were better. Besides being on most people's first playthrough teams, I really don't get the impression that Mega Lucario left much of an impact at all. It's good, but not that much greater than Lucario already was. It wasn't a horrible decline or anything, but the Lucario well was starting to run a little dry. In a weird way, just 2 generations in, Lucario had sort of already done everything. He was as popular as he could be, as strong as he needed to be, and now ridiculously accessible and marketable. On paper it sounds sad, but in my opinion it was their best possible option. At least turning Lucario into a more basic, less special Pokemon gave him something to latch onto. Otherwise he would have just become weird nostalgia bait.
I think the crowd's losing patience, man.
Crap, you're totally right. I better get this going.
Don't worry. Take your time. I still believe in you.
Wow. Thank you, Tamaki Reika from Red Dead Redemption 2. This video was originally about the sad downfall of Lucario. How he was once an unexpected titan of Pokemon, but quickly lost steam and became a part of the crowd. But as I returned back to this script, I couldn't, in good conscience, do that. This story is more nuanced than it seems. Lucario has recently been having a slow, but noticeable resurgence that I straight up ignored. I've been seeing fan art and appreciation of him often, as well as more and more people showing love to him. It's subtle, but important. I don't know what caused people to reignite their love. We can usually blame the virus on random things like that, but one thing's definitely for sure. It's interesting. I've realized that my love for Lucario doesn't even come from Generation 4, it comes from Generation 6. I've just been blessed with the context that comes from growing up around that time. But when we take it apart, even I'm considered a later fan of Lucario. There's truly this weird sort of eternal love for Lucario that seems to affect everyone that uses him. And now that's what I want to talk about. Why? Why does Lucario's love stay so consistent? While its popularity and relevancy might rise and dip, the love I see for it literally never does. No one gets tired of it or ever calls it overrated, unlike Charizard or really anyone popular. Old school fans love it, new fans love it, even competitive players love it for some reason. Lucario is just loved despite seemingly hitting his stride early and having little else to his name. I guess it's just because he's cool. I'm willing to argue that Lucario is the perfect design, mixing animal traits, human traits, and monster traits without even the smallest mistakes. And throughout the years they've either made an effort to give you Lucario, or put him in very obvious places. I think to a lot of people Lucario was the last truly great Pokemon, and while I violently disagree, I also completely understand. Recently, Lucario has had 3 major appearances, which is crazy luck. Brilliant Diamond, which we tried to ignore, Legends Arceus, and Legends CA. Legends Arceus was great since it gave Lucario a brand new playground to test his battling skills, and honestly, he's one of the best Pokemon in the game. While he's still not even the slightest bit special, he does take advantage of the new move order system with his very fast speed. I've used Lucario to beat Volo twice now, and I think everyone should too. And Legends EA brought back Mega Lucario, which is mostly just cool. But in the DLC he got another Mega Evolution. For some reason. Although it wasn't popular when announced, I've been seeing it way more online. It's a massive threat that really hurts if it goes unchecked. In my opinion, it's also extremely pretty, and almost looks too good to just be a Mega. I would have probably used it if it wasn't a post-game exclusive. Still not completely sure why it exists though. Either way, it's great to see a new Mega give Lucario an actually serious power boost to latch onto. Might be good to note for later. So, what conclusion did I reach? It's simple really. Lucario's legacy is one that's really unique and special. Sure, he's not quite the near mythical icon he once was, but that doesn't mean he has no meaning at all. The Kanto starters, no matter how often they appear, are always just the Kanto starters. They come back for nostalgia. Pikachu will always just be Pikachu no matter what he does, because we've seen him too often to care anymore. But Lucario has been so many different things over the course of so many years. He's either a legendary tier cool guy, your first Mega Evolution, or the best Pokemon throughout your entire playthrough. He's always been cool no matter what he's doing, and I think that's why his fandom has stood strong for so long. Within the Lucario fandom, there are like 5 mini fandoms, but all of them love the same weird dog man. I'd say I've learned a lot today. If I'm gonna win, I have to ask, what would Lucario do? Well, I'll tell you, or rather, show you. You know what? I think I'm gonna be alright. A big thank you to my friends Chaos Blood Ninja and Lunar for lending me their voices in this video. If you want to see behind the scenes goodies or just want to know when I'll upload again, hop on over to my community posts and take a little peek. Remember to follow my Tumblr and Blue Sky for art and my Wattpad and AO3 for fanfictions as well. All of my socials are bored in a good way, don't forget the underscores, and I always try to respond to DMs. My ask box is open no matter the type of day or weather, so keep that in mind too. And remember, always stay bored.